And we are back. Welcome, everybody, to the Soul Spa. And now, is it showing up live on YouTube?
Yes, we are.
Okay, great. Well, we're going to get started because it's that time. Time for another episode of the Soul Spa. I am Pia, the Soul Mentor. I have my beautiful co-host here, the Earth Goddess herself, Alicia. And we are going to introduce our special guest in just a moment. How's everybody doing? Place it in the comments. I cannot even see the comments right now. Lee, we have any comments going on?
Yes, we have Goddess Shadira saying a little hello, a few people joining in chat.
Hey,
So,
Shadira.
yeah.
Oh,
Don't forget to like and share just so we can make sure we get this message out. Very beautiful, beautiful day. I'm so excited for this spa session.
yes, please share this because we have some really good information that our special guest is going to share with us. So if you have any family or friends that are looking for ways to heal on a whole nother level, share this live with them so that they can come in here and learn and get this healing. And so, without further ado, I'm going to let Alicia introduce our very special guest host, Goddess.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm really so honored to introduce Frances Starr Graham today. I believe it has been almost 3 years since I started as a Qigong student, and we later evolved into a friendship, and we've done some wonderful work. I've learned so much from Frances, and I'm just thrilled that she agreed to join us. So I'm going to give a brief intro, and then Frances, I'll let you take it away with anything that you want to add. Frances has been a Qigong instructor and sound healer for years. Frances has been in the Qigong practice for about 6 years, and she's been working. I'm always honored to hear her story. I've heard it multiple times in just conversations, but Frances has done so much work in healing from 4 autoimmune diseases, and using qigong and her diet to be able to achieve that. Frances has worked with many qigong masters to heal herself and support others in their healing journey. She's completed programs in Qigong related to meditation, self mastery, and Zen yoga. She's also been a teacher for, I guess I must have been one of your first students for about 2.5 years in Mesa, Arizona. That's how I met Frances. And she's been getting started with a medical Qigong practice, which will be the focus of our conversation today. As a part of her sound healing, she does wonders in working with tuning forks and other sound healing modalities to support people on their healing journey. So I would just love to have everybody give a warm welcome to Frances. And Frances, I will let you take it away with anything you want to add. And thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for having me, Pia and Alicia. I'm very grateful to be here and share my journey with others. And I really love how when we do these kinds of broadcasts, we just, we can find like minded people who are struggling with the same things as us, or we can really be inspired by others on how we want to move forward in our lives, just by one word someone says, or, it's just some emotion someone's sharing with us. So I'm very happy to be here.
Well, good. We are happy to have you. And you have come to the spot at the right time. I cannot speak for other people. Well, yes, I can. Yes, I can. I can speak for other people. But, I don't know here lately. I'm not sure if it's because of the different energies that are shifting and, or things that we've just been dealing with, all of our lives. But spiritual people need healing too.
Yes.
And I'm noticing that there's, little aches and pent up traumas and energies and all kinds of things that stay stuck in our bodies, and try as we may, sometimes it just don't work.
Yeah.
So I wanted to, start off by asking how you came to study qigong, and as opposed to, I don't know, other, traditional Eastern medicines for healing.
Well, really, it's not a glamorous story. It's kind of like a big old struggle story, but it led me to where I am now. So if I had to do it again, of course I would do it again if I can get where I am now, which is, even though I have a lot of rough things happening in my life right now, my happiness level is at 10 plus. And I think that's a wonderful thing for all of us to want to be. It doesn't matter where we come in life. If we're wealthy, we're middle class, it doesn't really matter where we're coming from. Happiness is something that's priceless. And when we get it, it's like, yeah, okay, that was worth my journey. So it really started when I was relishing in my victimhood. So basically, I was like feeling so sick, so tired of being sick, tired of even hearing my own story, because I was, not really getting any answers. I was in my 30s and was diagnosed with 4 autoimmune diseases. And then at age 36 to 38, bedridden 3 months a year. That means like every 4th month I was down for a whole month, couldn't function at all. I was getting a lot of different procedures done. But what happened was, I got sick and tired of, myself basically. And I finally, after driving by this place for 5 straight years, I stopped at what's called a body and brain center. They're labeled different names all over the nation. And I think there's around 500 of them, but you can look them up on Instagram too. It's called Body and Brain. And so I stopped by and I was like, all right, I'll try a class. I just had bad attitude the whole time. And so I stopped one class. I'm like, oh, that was interesting. I get stopped for another class. Thought they were all weirdos because they're like tapping their body and moving their body, all these weird. I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on with these people? But for some reason, there was something in my intuition that was like, go, keep going, which I had never done with anything in my entire life as far as consistency. So that's when I decided to start going 3 times a week. And before I knew it, after about 6 months, I was really starting to feel all these emotions that were coming out of my body. I was crying, angry. And then another 6 months, I wouldn't say healed, but on the very beginning of a wonderful healing journey. I went from being bedridden to changing my diet to plant-based and hiking all over like 20 miles a week for several years. And just being a vibrant, healthy person, regenerated my whole thyroid gland because I was missing 40% of it due to Hashimoto's thyroid disease. That's how I got started out with Qigong.
That is awesome. That is, ooh, wow.
It was not easy.
I know. I wish I would have ran into you about a year ago when I was diagnosed with having a goiter.
Yes.
I had like 11 nodules.
Wow.
On my thyroid. And of course, you go to the doctor and the first thing they want to do, okay, well, let's just, nip and tuck. And I'm like, you're not taking my thyroid out, but you don't need it. I do need it. That's why I was born with it. Do you know what the thyroid does for the body? And and so because that's what they're trained to say, I just started doing a lot of research on how to heal myself. And so it's from 2020 until the beginning of this year, the 11 nodules went to 7 and then to 3.
Yay.
And then I couldn't take it no further. And I wish you were there. So come on, let's go put I was literally almost like choking sometimes. So I didn't let them take it out. I just let them take out that part that had the other 3 in it. So.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
That means you can regenerate at 100%. Yep.
Oh, really? So we can regenerate our thyroids now? The what?
I have medical proof of it. I did it within 1 year. So I have an
Mm.
MRI of my brain and throat done a year prior. And then a year later, I actually had some trigeminal neuralgia, which is a painful thing in your jaw. It's due to one of my diseases that I have. And I went into the ER because I mean, there's a chance of aneurysm. So you got to make sure. That's all I was doing is making sure, because I rarely go to traditional doctors anymore. And they did a brain MRI and they were like, "Do you have Hashimoto's disease?" I'm like, "Yes." "Well, why is it that you have a full size thyroid?" It had regenerated itself in 1 year from the Qigong and practicing the self healing techniques that I learned in that class.
And for the people that are listening who are not I can't even talk right now, familiar with Hashimoto's, can you like explain what that is and how it impacts the thyroid?
Yes, it's super common. People just don't get diagnosed with it as frequently as they need to. And what it is it's a autoimmune disease that attacks your thyroid. So you get what's called TPO antibodies, and those antibodies attack your body's tissues, specifically your thyroid. It can also result in many, many other diseases, which I did get because I had been undiagnosed so long. They treat women like we're hysterical and we are emotional time bombs and we don't really have any health issues, instead of how we're supposed to be treated, which is, unisex. Don't look at us as a woman or man, just look at our symptoms, find out what's wrong with us. It took them a very long time to diagnose me. And then once they did, it was getting to be almost too late, because, it was attacking my thyroid. So that's why 40% of the thyroid tissue disappeared, because my body attacked it. So
Mm.
you go from hyperthyroid, which is too much thyroid hormone, to hypothyroid, which is you don't make enough. And then mine had gone to the part where it had been going up and down so much that it short circuited. Now I'm just straight hypothyroid.
Mhm.
Whew. You've been doing the work. You have been doing the work. Now, I see that you're also a medical intuitive. Can you
Yes,
talk to us a little bit about that?
I also do shamanic work, but I don't label myself as a shaman. I don't really label myself as medical intuitive to most of my clients. However, I am a medical intuitive. I just don't believe in using a lot of labels. That's just me. Other people do, and that they stand in that, and I really applaud them for that. It's just me as a person. That's what I do. So, as a medical intuitive, I think that going through all these disease issues, dying and coming back to life 3 times in my life, going towards the white tunnel, hearing the music, not being able to function when I came back to life. Like I seriously died and came back to life. I think doing all those things and then being a psychic medium as a young child, but suppressing it, really helped me come into my gifts later on in life, because it's like I had almost been into every single health issue there
Mm.
was. And so when I'm with my clients before they even know their health issues, I can a lot of times, um, through spirit's guidance, I'm only a facilitator. I'm not the person doing it, but facilitating that information coming through. Like I can see an organ if the organ is blocked, especially when I'm using my tuning forks. I can see frequencies in people's body that maybe have been overlooked that I can tie to a specific meridian line in their body, which are river channels that run up and down our arms and legs and also connect to our organs.
Mhm. Wow.
Mhm.
I know as Pia's processing this, we could probably just, all of us can sit here and talk forever. And Francis, one of the things I gained from our work together and just spending time with you is how some of the trauma or emotions really get trapped in our body. And for me, that was probably one of the most powerful experiences that I had with qigong.
Mhm.
I used to have pretty extreme anxiety. I also had thyroid things, and I don't know if you recall, you supported me with probably about 2 years ago when I would be sitting cross-legged. My hip was so tight I couldn't even sit comfortably for a period of time. So, if you're sitting in that meditative pose, I would get about 5 minutes in and I couldn't stand it. It would just be so painful. So, how does Qigong help release that tightness and, some of those emotions? Like what does that look like? Or can you talk about that?
I can. I actually just did an intro to a client yesterday, a new client for my medical Qigong program. So my mind is fresh with that.
Mhm.
Because I use slides that I also use when I teach a healing academy for the Qigong, which Alicia has taken. We're going to be doing another one in North Carolina on the beach coming up, an exclusive one where we're doing all these topics, Qigong. Please email me at the end of the session. I will get you into that retreat because we have very limited spots available. But we're
Yes.
taking that healing academy to the beach. It's going to be a private healing academy. It's going to be amazing. You're going to learn how to heal others on a high energetic level, along with the tuning forks, the Qigong, all kinds of other modalities. No other schools teach this. So this private healing academy school that we're taking to the beach this summer, or I'm sorry, in September, is going to be pretty amazing. But the thing we go through is 4 different sections for Qigong and releasing pain and releasing emotions that are trapped in our body. It's called stagnant energy that we're trying to make into active Qi, right? That can move out of our body, and then new Qi that we can bring into our body. So those different sections are first our meridian stretching. So meridian stretching is those channels that run through our body. We move our body in certain ways and hold that position, and then of course, you go down to your toes, and then there's all kinds of seated movements. We look like the character Gumby the way we're moving and stretching all around. But see, the thing is not yoga, not any other modality can stretch you the way this Qigong meridian stretching is. That's one aspect of it. Another aspect is meditation. So the whole practice with Qigong is moving meditation. So when you're in these movements, like Tai Chi or Qigong, you're meditating as you're moving. So it helps those who cannot meditate. They will be meditating because it slows down the overthinking in our brain, brings that upper dantian heat down and grounds us. And then all of a sudden we can focus and we don't obsess about any of our thoughts. And that's a moving meditation. The third thing is body tapping. So we're going to tap certain areas of our body that hit certain organs and chakras in our body and tap it out until it releases. And then we have a fourth section, which is complete connection to our lower dantian, which is right below the belly button in between a root and sacral chakra. It's connecting to that soul spot. And I love that you guys are doing the soul, spa podcast, because connecting to your soul is not easy when you've been living a life that's so too much and you're never focusing and connecting with yourself. So that's a big part of Qigong. After you've done Qigong for about a year and you really put your heart and soul into it, you also become highly psychic and you can connect with yourself on a very deep soul level.
Mm.
That's beautiful.
Wow.
So, and I'm gonna add to that because we actually had a question in the chat. Goddess Shadira was asking if the if the energy released is the same energy that's often released during yoga, and you kind of touched on that, but just want to make sure we dive into that a little bit more.
So I love yoga. I also trade for people for services because I want them to help me with the flows, just because of my own personal physical reasons. I know that there are many yogis or practitioners that do wonderful meditations along with yoga. So it can be extremely beneficial. So I'm not dogging on yoga. However, the only moving meditation in the world is Qigong and Tai Chi. So moving meditation is different than going just through a flow and then meditating. Although that's super valuable, Qigong is more of like a daily practice that is about going super slow and not being agile or flexible or physical. It's more about the latter of what I've been talking about. And I did forget one section to mention, and that section is called accumulating and strengthening. So it's kind of an aspect that we do in yoga as well. But accumulating and strengthening is like, for instance, a move that we do, and you guys can look this up on Google if you want. It's called Sleeping Tiger. Alicia knows about it.
I do.
Now, that pose is very hard, but it's not physically hard. It's your ego and your brain that tells you it's physically hard. So you can get to where you can hold that position for like 20 minutes at a time. But for people just to master 5 minutes, it takes probably a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get the shakes after about a minute and a half.
The
So
shakes are great too. Yeah.
yes.
So that position is actually for accumulating energy. So if you can learn how to do sleeping tiger every morning after a seasoned Qigong person, you can literally have bounds of energy the whole day because you accumulated all on that lower dantian and you're saving it to use.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
That one was really helpful for me because I think just especially when I was just in a different place in my life, I would get so drained. And so the wonderful thing about Qigong is for me, it really filled my cup. So even though, it's an hour well, we would have an hour class, even though it was an hour class, I might be like breaking a little sweat just because we're moving a lot of energy, but I would always feel so uplifted and energized. And I used to joke around, I hope you don't mind me saying this, but I'd be like, Francis, you got me high again. Here we go. Because I would be so uplifted and just full of energy. So that sleeping tiger, you're making me want to do that again. It's been a while since I've attempted it.
Well, and also for Qigong, there's like thousands of applications on what you want the Qigong to do for your body. So
Right.
if you're in cancer treatment, if you are going through menopause, you can't sleep at night, or maybe you need more energy.
Mhm.
There are sleep Qigong. There is cleansing and clearing Qigong. There is morning awakening Qigong. There is prostrate Qigong, like every single thing of Qigong you can think of.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
glad you said that because I was wondering if there was a certain exercise that, people could do if they have just the residuals that's left over from some childhood thing,
PTSD, yeah.
and would it be effective in helping release that, because we
Yes.
can bring things down through the years and it just settles. And how do you like zero in on some tragedy or something that you encountered, when you were a child or when you were a young adult, and you just suppressed it, and now it's manifesting in all kinds of psychosis and things like that. Could it help, heal that?
Well, this is just my own humble opinion on the matter, just after working with so many different clients with so many different ailments and mental and spiritual and physical issues. Is the way I like to go about it is the same way I do with my vegan chef business, because I'm also a vegan chef. So I counsel people on what to eat. That's it. I'm not a nutritionist, but I go with more of the intuitive eating, mindful eating. And then, of course, with Qigong, I go for the intuitive healing. So it's very important that people understand what intuitive healing is and planned healing. Planned healing, it goes more with, standard American diet, traditional medicine, medications. That's planned healing, in my opinion. This is just the way I label them with my processes. And then intuitive healing is not putting a timestamp on anything. So the best way I like to go about getting people introduced, and what I do when they actually welcome them into my programs, is I say, we're going to do this for 18 weeks as your intro period. You're just going to do a bunch of Qigong videos and a bunch of things that I put together for you, because I've already been through this process from square one to now. So I know what works and what doesn't work. And us who are overthinkers, which I'm guaranteeing you, anyone who has major health issues, mental, spiritual issues, whatever it is, it's probably because they're overthinker. And we have so many, I mean, like 90% of us are like that. That's pretty much the deal. Yes, Alicia. So what I like to do with this program is say, we're just gonna do an intro period and you're just gonna live every day like it's your next day is the new day. Because when we get to where we're like, this big picture of healing needs to happen, I need to tackle all my trauma, figure out what my root cause is and all this. No. We need to get in a space where you're aligning your mind, body, and spirit. Then when you get in a space where you feel like you got that, you can start planning things in super small tasks to get where you want as far as healing. That way, organically, your guides, your spiritual guidance, your transformation comes in when it's supposed to be, with the divine timing of everything.
Okay. This is so interesting. I am so glad you are sharing your gift with us. Does anyone have a question that you want to come on the mic and ask Francis? If you do, that link that I sent to you, you can use that link.
Yeah. And while we have anybody thinking, I just want to point out, Francis, that's so beautiful that you incorporate divine timing in a way that is digestible, because I think for many of us who have started on our path, it usually happens because something stops us in our course in life, right? So something tells us, okay, we need to divert. And when you start coming in and learning about healing and learning about our energy centers and trauma and all of the different energetic bodies that we interact with, our instinct and our training, our programming tells us, man, I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to heal this. And for me, especially at the beginning, I got so overwhelmed because I was like, man, I'm going to be at this forever. And in a way, we are. I'm not going to like sugarcoat it. But it was like, I felt like I was the hot mess express, and I was just going to be doing healing work always and never have a moment where I'm enjoying it. But I love how you brought that up. Like, like we don't have to be like, ooh, look at this trauma, let's poke at it, but we can do that in a very organic and gentle way. Because for me, when I started, I was like, I'm going to heal all the chakras and I'm going to do things. And, like this is a little personal, but Francis saw me in a moment where I had a whole bunch of stuff releasing all at once. And like, I think I was holding like a 30-pound chunk of tourmaline just to bring me back. So, you can overdo
Really
it.
was. She really
You can
was.
overdo it. Francis had me, she's like, I gotta put a cold collar around her head, hold on to this tourmaline. It was like an intervention because I think I went a little too hard too fast. And so I had to bring that out because,
yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, Alicia. So our chi is very important. I'll go through that really quick with you guys so you know what the chi is all about and why the Qigong is what it is. Anything above our belly button should be watery, room temperature, or maybe cooler. And then anything below the belly button needs to be warm, fiery, purposeful, passionate. Okay. So if you guys heard the term, don't respond with a hot head or don't be hot headed, that is actually relevant to Chinese traditional medicine, which is speaking of, when you have heat up here, you're using the wrong temperature for your chi, your energy chi. So your energy comes in through the kidneys and it goes in an arrow in a microcosmic orbit and connects to your lower dantian. So a lot of people bring in their energy from the front of their body. They're empaths and they're always just taking it all in and letting it go inside their body. And then they're depleting the lower dantian energy. Well, if they were protecting and shielding their body, it's still doing the work. You could still be a healer. You can still do others' work. It just needs to move through you and out. Never stay in you. So that way you're still taking the energy through your kidneys and you're reserving the lower dantian energy to use as you need.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad you explained that because that was actually one of my questions on how to do that. What would you recommend on like healing your chakras using Qigong?
To me, I feel like I was healing my chakras before I started Qigong, but then this is the thing. Your chakras could be off for weeks and you wouldn't know it if you didn't do Qigong. I'll tell you why. Because Qigong connects you to your physical body where you're feeling pain, you're feeling emotions, and it's a very difficult time to adjust to your new body when you start Qigong. It's something a lot of people run from and they don't go back because they don't want to transform. It's too hard on them. So that's why I go through this organic process with people so they can learn how to move that energy.
Okay.
Hopefully that answers your question, because what I'm saying is before my chakras were being healed, but then after I started Qigong, I'm connecting, and I know within an hour or two if one of my chakras is off, because I'm
Right.
so connected to that part of
Right.
my.
I got you. I got you.
Yeah.
That
So there's
makes
a
that
difference
makes sense.
between having your chakras balanced, and then they all will always get unbalanced no matter what happens in life. There will always be unbalanced, but knowing when it is and then correcting it.
Mhm.
I
That's
am
so
loving this.
powerful.
It
That's
is. I got the vision in my head right now. I'm like, because on Tuesdays, seem like my chakras be like, you know what? I'm gonna be over here. Solar gonna be over here. Heart is right here. It's like everywhere. I'm like, I'm gonna need y'all to come together.
yeah. And being healers and being empaths and picking up on energy, I think one of the things that Qigong has taught me, and I'm still incorporating this lesson, it's something that is really important to me, and I feel the difference when I'm actively practicing and not actively practicing. And I hope it's okay. Like, I have my teacher on the line, so I'm just telling her I'm not doing my homework, but things happen, right? So I can tell the difference because when I'm actively practicing Qigong, I have an easier time discerning when it's other people's energy coming in versus my own. And like you said, it's easier for me to be able to process and say, okay, that was a little hit from somebody who is experiencing grief right now. Um, my heart starts hurting. I know that's not mine. I can release it, right? Like, I can let that go. So that's one of the things that Qigong does for me. It's not just my own energy or chakras. It's really it's understanding better when the energy is mine and not mine. And that was one of the most difficult things that I dealt with. Pia will attest to this, but I used to say all the time, I'm an introvert. I'm an introvert. I don't like people. I don't like people. Well, I didn't realize that it was a lot of that was because, one, I don't really feel the need to talk to people that I'm not really connected with. So we'll just put that out there. But so I would kind of be within, but it really was being an empath and not feeling. I would feel so chaotic when I would be in big groups because I didn't know how to protect my energy. So it was draining. I would look for ways to get out of there. I'm a Midwesterner, so we're just conditioned to be polite. And so I would sit there like, oh, I think I'm going to go. Oh, but Alicia, you didn't eat this. You didn't do this. Okay. And like, meanwhile, I'm ready to fall over because I'm just so overwhelmed. And Qigong really helped me learn how to protect and be more in my body so that I know when it's my energy and not someone else's.
And then how do you feel, Alicia, about your reaction when you're doing Qigong, like reaction to other people's, maybe they're starting to fight with you. I don't know. Like when you're having conflict, do you find out that your reactions differently too?
Oh yeah. So if let's say I'm in a situation that I would previously consider stressful, like let's say I have to have a difficult conversation. When I'm doing my Qigong practice, I can more easily say like, this is going to be a little bit tricky, but I don't take things personally. I don't get anxious. I don't worry about it. I don't have the conversation 500 times before I have the conversation. That's something that I've really benefited from Qigong because, again, it's keeping that energy lower, right? Switching the overthinking and bringing that lower. And that's been one of the more powerful things. I've experienced a lot of life changes, and with Qigong and some of the other practices, I feel like I can approach it in a very balanced way. Whereas old me, I would have been in the fetal position under my desk. Like, oh, I don't know.
Not even a joke. I've been there before.
Yeah.
Sitting in the corner going, get away from me.
I think we've all been there. No, I
Yes.
have. I know
So,
I have. What was I going to ask you? I was going to ask you. Oh, just from listening, in this almost 45 minutes, it seems like Qigong helps you to know thyself.
Yes.
And the more you do it, so I would be doing this until I drew my last breath, because that's what I'm picking up on. That is definitely is a lifestyle.
I will be doing it till my last breath. And this
Yeah.
is the big reason why I tell everyone, especially when I deal with elderly, which I love, love, love them, is are we supposed to live till we die and then, be miserable the last 20 years and just have no quality of your life? It's a really good question to ask yourself. No, the sage part of our life, which is what we talk about in Eastern medicine, is supposed to be the most rewarding, fulfilling, and soul empowering time of your life, which is, I think, right about after 59 and into your 80s. And when I do have like about 25% of my clients in the elderly, and they're in their 70s and 80s, and I love them. And when I ask them this question, they always smile and say, well, I guess the time to start is now, because I am experiencing happiness I've not experienced in my first 70 years of life. It's worth it for me to stick around if I can have a happy, high quality life and moving forward. We're not here to just go to work every day or just do our little hobbies. We're here to have a fulfilling, purposeful life. But we can't do that if we can't access all of our beautiful powers, our brain power, our heart power, and then our physical power and spiritual power.
Mm.
that's
I definitely resonate with that. That's beautiful. I know if I had a client that was up in age like that and she said that to me, I would just break down and cry.
Oh, trust me, they had me crying all last week because they're
Be
so
crying.
wonderful. They're also magical goddesses with all these wonderful gifts that I'm just amazed by. So I love working with them.
Yes, definitely.
uh,
Definitely.
oh, I love it.
So Francis, you are a vegan chef, I see.
Yes, and I've recently rebranded my company so I can do more spiritual work. So now I'm just doing speaking engagements and promoting my cookbook, and then doing some exclusive events with just a few of my retreat clients for my vegan chef work. I'm getting kind of close to the 5-0 right now. So my body isn't as spry as it used to be, even with my Qigong. So I'm kind of rebranded recently to do that. And I recently published a cookbook. It's called Surprise! Exclamation point. It's vegan. It was published on March 30th, and you can get that on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Goodreads.
Okay,
Those
okay.
areas. I'll
So
show
it
you.
has what is your favorite vegan dish?
Well, I think the one that's most popular with all my clients, and it's become a favorite of mine, even though I've eaten it a million times. You know how you get sick of something? I kind of don't get sick of this because it's worth it. Is my favorite recipe in the book, and it's also highlighted on the back. Let me pull it up for you guys real quick. It's called Chef Francis's famous feta cheese balls. And the thing I tell people with Qigong too is, and it's a little tidbit of a fact I wanted to share with you guys about food. And we have an empty vessel. And I think I heard Pia talking about the vessel in the beginning of the podcast, but we have an empty vessel of empty chi, no energy in there. 70% of our chi is made up of food and nutrition that we put in our body, and 30% is our breathing. That makes up 100% of our nourishing chi. So it goes from empty chi to nourishing chi by the type of food and air that we breathe.
Mm.
And so it's a really kind of a fun tidbit I just found out in one of my trainings that I'm doing currently. And I will pull up this recipe for you guys. But basically, this is a feta cheese ball that it can be topped with a million different toppings for different occasions or holidays. And it's made with vegan feta and some other ingredients like spinach and artichoke into this wonderful cheesy dip that no one will know is vegan.
I have to try it because
I don't know if you can see it at all.
It's
okay.
I'm gonna do a little testimonial. I'm a Taurus. I feel like I have to start that like, hi, my name is Alicia, and I'm a Taurus. Okay. I love I love food. I love eating good food. It is one of my favorite things. I every day I will like just go for eating lovely things. I love it. And let me tell you, anytime we had an event and Francis was, it was out of control. I remember you made this dip. I could have eaten it with a spoon. Like I was like, why do we even need anything to put in the dip? I just want to eat it. It was like a little bit spicy. I can't even remember what it was. But every time Francis brings something, I get so excited. And I recently purchased the book too. So I'm excited to start trying recipes. And I think the cool thing is you took some time to shoot video. So, sometimes it's helpful to have that visual medium in addition to having the recipe itself. So,
yes, and I did something that no other cookbook has done in the world ever, which is I taped 8 recipes in the book. There's 8 QR codes next to those recipes. You pull up the QR code, you'll be on YouTube, and it gives you from the beginning to the end how to make the recipe. I'm doing a cooking class for every one of those recipes. So you just scan it in your book and it gives you the password in the book, and bam, you're into a video recipe.
Oh, that's cool.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. And we do have another question in the chat. So thank you so much. I was so excited to talk about it. And, as you know, I'm always excited to talk about food. So in the chat, Reclaiming Our Throne asks, what tips do you have for introducing this practice to children, or how do you do Qigong with children?
Oh, I should totally pull up a photo right now, but I don't think it's going to look good on the screen. But so I just had one of my medical Qigong clients send me, and I'm tagging you on this, Katie. Send me a picture of her son all knocked out on a bed asleep in the middle of the day. And she's like, yep, and that Qigong knocked him right out. So kids have the opposite problem as us adults. We're low energy. We're going, oh, give me a nap at 4 o'clock. And then kids are actually short circuits, so they can't nap or anything. They're just wild. I'm sure you've been around many of those children. They're all of them are in our family. The thing about Qigong is, remember, I told you it slows down the overthinking. Well, it also slows down that short circuiting that kids get, whether they're having blood sugar or just wired from the day. It helps them get in a space where they can connect and slow down. And the way to introduce kids to Qigong is to literally pull up a fun video, look up kids Qigong, pull up a fun video, and then you as an adult do it with them. Or you can set them down, have them on their tablet and say, you don't get to do this. I only get to do it. Use reverse psychology.
If they're anything like me as a child, that will absolutely work.
But kids love it. I also say make it part of your preschool programs. Make it a part of your homeschool programs. It's so great. 20 minutes is the minimum I would recommend, not 10 minutes, because you got to wear kids out a little bit more.
Yeah. That's fair. That is fair. Oh, okay. Thank you so much. That
was a great question.
Yes. It was, because I just think all kids should have it as like a course in school.
I think just everything would be so different if kids had the opportunity to do some of these practices. And I know, I have high energy children in my household and family. And so I'm excited to introduce this and, begin the work at a young age when we're ready for it.
Awesome.
Yes. So awesome. And I know we're kind of getting close to the top of the hour. So if anybody else has questions, feel free to put those in the chat. But I would love it if there's something that, you can give us as a takeaway, like a Qigong practice that we can do just to start building that if we haven't already. So what do you think, Francis?
I will teach everyone the one that I teach everyone for fun, but it's also I tell my clients do this before you're going to see that toxic person, then after you're going to see that toxic person, or just do it before you're going to see someone who affects you emotionally. They don't need to be toxic, you know, they could just be like an emotionally person that emotionally charges you.
Yeah.
And you know, we also have what I call energy vampires. So they don't know they are, bless their heart, but they are. You know, they suck all the energy from you, and then you feel like you have nothing left at the end of the day because they've you know, sucked it all out of you, all your energy. So we have a practice called sinking your chi. It's listed as a bunch of different labels and Eastern methods, but I just call it sinking your chi. So we can stand up together and do it. And if you don't want to stand, you can do it sit in your chair as well. It doesn't have to be standing, but I do think it does work better standing. And I'm not going to be showing my feet just because this wasn't set up to do like a Qigong class, but I'll just describe what your feet are supposed to be doing. Okay.
Okay.
So let me get this up a little higher so you guys can see me. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to get your feet shoulder width apart. I want your feet to grip the ground. And imagine you're out on the grass too, because if you can do this on the grass where you're charged by electromagnetic field of the earth, that's wonderful. If not, in your house, completely fine. Okay, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your hands and go down to your sides. And then I want you to imagine those toes as roots to the ground, and then gather up the energy all the way halfway. So pull it up super slow. You're pulling with your hands down, you're pulling your hands up super slow, halfway. Then you're going to turn your hand this way and out, and you're going to gather the cosmic energy above your head. So go all the way up, really do this slow. Now imagine there's a stream of white light coming from your hands towards down the center of your body. You're going to come all the way down to heart center. And then you're going to do a half bow. So you're going to go all the way forward with your legs straight and then come back up. And then you're going to do that 2 more times. So you're always going to do it in threes. You can do 3, 6, or 9. Sometimes I do 12, but 3 is sufficient. Like if you're in your car, you're just hanging out and about, you can do the sinking your chi pretty quickly. I would say under 3 minutes is a good number. So sinking your chi.
Okay. Got 2 more to go.
Yeah, so make sure your hands are down till they halfway go up. And then you flip your hands and grab the cosmic energy. And what I like to do when I do this is I like to bring in the frequency of gratitude. And then if I want to ask my guide stuff, I maybe talk to them too. And I do more of a bowing situation, but that would be for another class. But you can look up Qigong bowing and they'll show you, I think, especially through Body and Brain, how to do that.
And so you would bow every time you come back to heart center, and then you would do the half bow, or is that only after you're done with all of the exercise?
No, it's every time you're done with that posture, you'll do a half bow. So 3 half bows.
3 half bows. Okay.
And then when you're doing the other bowing, it's much more on the ground, child's pose. You're doing all this other stuff. And Alicia knows about that one, but you could look it up under Body and Brain Bowing. They'll give you a video on how to do that. I use that to do my spirit meeting every day with my guides and everything. I use it as a moment of gratitude. And I ask specifically what I need and what I want in life. And they provide it to me. And I manifest things through that practice.
Yeah. I've incorporated that extended bowing, but even so, the exercise we just did, sinking the chi, I used to do that when I would go to the office. Like I would just go into an empty office because, you know, like I'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm all over the place. I would do that until I felt like I was a little bit at center. And like Frances was saying with the extended bowing practice, that was so powerful for me. I was having a really hard time with my energy, and many of you know, I have a sweet young daughter who does not necessarily like to sleep for long periods of time. So I've been in this place where I'm like getting 2 hours in a row of sleep. And so obviously my energy is just, I don't even know where I'm at sometimes. And I found that extended bowing practice would just keep me really grounded, even when, I felt a little scattered and all over the place. It's been very powerful for me. And I'm so grateful that you taught me that, Francis. You got me through and, brought me back to earth.
Well, my pleasure. You helped me with so many things too, just because I love your title, Earth Goddess, because you're an Earth Goddess.
Yeah, she sure is. That is very powerful because this entire side is like on fire.
Yeah. I can't wait to get her on some Qigong practices.
Oh, I can't wait. And I can't wait to get there.
It really brings me great joy to see the transformation in everyone. Like even people that I meet that are in a high level of success, like very wealthy, very successful, they're still lacking connection with themselves. Even when they have everything provided and everything's taken care of in their life, they're still missing that connection. So when I see them connect, it's just a joy to me to provide that to others just by a facilitator.
Yes. And it looks like some of our viewers tried that out, and we have some good feedback in the chat. So thank you, Francis. That's a very straightforward and powerful practice that you can incorporate. And like you said, it's a little trickier in the car, but I would do that in so many different places. I mean, you can use that anywhere. So
yes, you can. And Alicia knows how silly I am. Like I got to the point where I really don't care what people think at all. Like it's a real skill to have. And so I'll just be tapping on my hip because I have several injuries in my body due to one of my diseases that won't heal certain tissues in my body. But I'll just sit there and tap. It'll bring circulation and blood to that injury and my pain will go away.
Yep.
And I'll do it in my car. My husband doesn't even try to correct me anymore. He used to be like, we're in public or whatever. And I'm like, whatever. And so I'm like sitting here tapping my leg, getting the energy. And I found that all my friends, even the ones that haven't done my Qigong program, they'll do it too. And I'm like, oh no, you've been hanging around me too long.
I feel like tapping now, like you're getting me going.
Yeah. Especially if you're having like a big anxiety attack. So what Alicia was talking about earlier is you put a cold, frozen, wet rag on your neck and a heating pad on your belly. You can't have an anxiety attack when that's going on. Because it redoes the flow of your chi, with the heat coming from here and being pushed down.
Yep. I can definitely attest to that.
You cannot have an anxiety attack when you have that.
This, if a lot of couples incorporated these practices in their relationships, I think that that could really help.
Yes.
Probably can save some marriages and things like that.
Yes, and I will say something that's G-rated kind of. And that is that, another thing can happen for people when they're doing this. It doesn't matter what age you are. I have heard this from all ages. And I mean, they even tell me details I don't want to know. But when you develop that root chakra and that sacral chakra, and it's been closed for so many years in your life, because a lot of women have it closed for trauma, all kinds of other reasons. When it opens up, you just feel like this sexual goddess that can do anything that we're always meant to be, like empowering, not being ashamed of it, but being proud of it and wanting to use it, if we have a partner or in whatever way we want.
Absolutely.
I'm here for it.
Yes, I am here too. Because in my 30s, I actually had that dysfunction majorly. It was horrible with my diseases that I had before.
Wow.
Yep.
That is awesome.
You are so inspirational. I love it. I love it, Francis.
Well, I'm excited to see more of your podcasts coming up. I was looking at some of your past subjects and very interested.
Thank you. We are growing and doing the work. I can hardly wait to see what a year from now is going to look like. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be amazing.
Absolutely.
Yes, it is. And transformational. Well, thank you everyone for being here. Anyone have any last comments? Any questions? Anything you'd like to share? Anything like that?
We're seeing the love coming through. Thank you, everybody. We had
Yes.
some really cool questions, and I just posted again Francis's email. So Francis, if you want to just share a little bit about that before we wrap up, they have your email address, so you can reach out to her. And
Yes, if you would like to know more about Qigong and you're curious about it, feel free to look up on your own. YouTube's a great resource. You're just going to put the word Qigong, Qigong, and whatever thing you're trying to solve, or you can just search up beginning Qigong and you can do some videos just to kind of get used to the practice. I currently have 2 spots open in my medical Qigong program, and then I'm going to be completely full. The average Qigong student that works with me goes on to do the practice with me between 6 months and a year. They get a new practice from me virtually every 3 weeks, and we do a one-on-one every 3 weeks. So it's an intensive program, but well worth the investment in yourself.
absolutely. I can say that Francis has kept me upright for many years.
Wow. Well, everyone, thanks again for coming to the Soul Spot Live. Thank you, Francis, for blessing us with your presence. And on that note, I send you peace, love, joy, prosperity, and all the good things that Spirit has for each and every one of you. Good night.
Bye, guys.